Welcome to another Lightning Strikes twice, where we have one topic apiece and 5 minutes to discuss each topic. So take it away, Eric.
Alrighty, my topics is kind of a philosophy, I guess. Um, so what was your Nausicaan fight moment? Like a critical turning point where your life path diverged significantly, like a rimmer being held back for a year kind of thing.
Right.
Hmm.
Um, I I feel like I've had several, but probably my double bout with cancer pretty much altered the entire course of my life and my hairline.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, certainly, yeah, that's a big deal.
I like that. I mean, my entire personality, probably my lifespan,
Mhm.
my career changed specifically because of that. Like I was like, oh, science is kind of cool, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, like I certainly wouldn't be in Germany now if I hadn't gotten cancer. I'd probably be kind of fat and just playing video games or something. I don't know. Like
And
I had
listening
no
to metal.
aspirations whatsoever. I was just kind of a loser. So.
Yeah, no, that's a big deal. That's huge. Like, yeah, I could definitely see that change, like for
Mm.
sure. That's man, that's a big well, and like basically facing death as
Right.
well. That really changes you.
And then kicking him in the nads.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I would say I have several as well, but I think for me the biggest one would be my decision to leave private school and go to public school.
Hmm.
Like everybody I know right now, except with a few exceptions, almost everybody I know is a product of that. So like all my
Hmm.
friends, everything, most of my experiences and stuff, um, I mean, it was a Christian school, so it's possible I could still be like deep in the weeds in Christianity and stuff now and not be an atheist. I'm sure people are going to be like, oh, see, the Christians are going to be like, oh, they contaminated you. No, there was no manipulation whatsoever. It was just the exposure to different ways of thinking.
That was
Um,
definitely probably the biggest turning point before cancer for me, going
mm,
from Catholic school to public school. But
yeah,
I'm pretty sure I would have still ended up an atheist. Like,
yeah, I would have as well, but it would have taken a little longer, like,
yeah, yeah.
but
The,
yeah,
the
that's
mental pathways were definitely forming,
hmm
just
for
like
sure.
despite my surroundings. So,
Hmm. Or maybe in a way because of them, because I've heard
yeah,
stories about
maybe actually.
about Catholic school. Oh man,
Maybe I'd have been an atheist quicker.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You stuck it out.
Like in eighth grade, being like, God is dead.
Oh man, yeah. I think about those things a lot. It's like, you just think, oh, I am who I am. But if you go back through your life, as I often do, kind of just thinking about what happened every year and what led up to what, it's like, man, these little teeny tiny things, this seemingly insignificant at the time decisions turned out to have huge ramifications.
Yeah.
Like, I
You know,
I don't know that I'd be all into writing music. I would not be like all into programming because it was
mm,
when I first went to middle school, to a public school, that I got introduced to computers and took a computer class. So I wouldn't be working in like IT, and we wouldn't have started the business. Um,
yeah.
like all kinds of shit. It's crazy how everything is all connected to those things. It's like, man, I wonder how I would have turned out if it weren't for that.
I I think if I had the choice between like a time machine and just a machine that would allow me to observe other realities where I made different choices, kind of like It's a Wonderful Lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, like I could actually kind of live it, but then just hop out whenever I'm done or something.
Yep. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I'd go for that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that could be good and it could be bad because you might be like, oh man, that if I just done that one thing, you know, But then of course there's probably thousands of other ones that turn out really, really awful too. So yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting, but I think that's important for people to think about. It's like these tiny little decisions can be a big deal, and like all this stuff adds up to the totality of who you are. And yeah, it's just crazy. Like, man, I probably wouldn't even be so much into art as well. I mean, I drew and wrote stuff all the time, but it was my friend Aaron that I met who was all into art, and we geeked out on art, and like that definitely made a big, big impact.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy to think about, like how, oh man, shit. That one, that's, oof, boy, what ifs. Well, all right, then so your turn.
All right. I guess this is kind of science and current events
Hmm.
intertwined, but
Okay.
maybe even politics. Um,
Hmm.
what do you think about Elon Musk's idea to retire the ISS like in 2 years from now instead of 5 or whatever it was supposed to be?
Oh boy, that would make me sad in a way, but honestly, the ISS is very expensive to maintain, and there's already a plan to deorbit it, just a few years later. And maybe it makes sense to divert the resources we're pouring into keeping this thing going into some other grander project. I mean, we are talking about Artemis and stuff going to the moon again. And so like having these two concurrent, really expensive things kind of overlapping. I mean,
There's a lot of really great research going on there. I didn't even
I
know
know.
that until now. Like,
Mhm.
and all the zero gravity effects on biology and stuff like that that we're learning really important stuff about. That's stuff you want to learn before you go deeper into space.
Yes, yes.
So, like having all that stuff slated to take place over the next 5 or 8 years, I forget what it was,
Hmm.
when they were originally planning to deorbit it, is now going to be scrapped.
Hmm.
That's like, it, yeah, it's expensive, but it's money well spent. Whereas
Oh,
like going to the moon, going to Mars, that's not really well spent. It's just like it's a dusty red rock. Like,
and the moon is completely desolate and dusty as well. I know. I agree that the stuff done in the ISS is extremely valuable. I mean, we still have China with their Tiangong station, which is doing a lot of the same work. Which, as long as we're, buddy buddy enough with them to share information, um, well, yeah, and maybe that, I guess they could just kind of, okay, well, let's scrap these other pointless projects and work on the stuff that matters now. um and who knows, chances are it won't be deorbited in a couple of years. Maybe they'll move it closer a little bit, but you know how things are, because it's a joint project. Like, you got to deal with Russia too. Russia might be like, well, we had a whole bunch of stuff we want to do.
right.
Half the station is ours too, like. And then Canada, and all these, the ESA, Japan too, they have a little
Yeah.
bits up there too. So you got to deal with negotiating with all these people. And maybe that's the downside of having an international space station, is like there's always going to be somebody. It's like some building project where one holdout is not selling their property for a highway project. And
Yeah, but I think that's important also for just getting along with one another
Mhm.
on this planet, is to be up there in space and sharing resources and information
Collaborating on stuff.
and
Yeah.
yeah, like and of course, like it's sort of a conflict of interest. Like he just wants to funnel that money into SpaceX, and it's like, well,
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, there are other
it's
projects that
not
are
really
not SpaceX
objective,
necessarily.
like.
No, no, true. Maybe an option is to privatize it, and or partially privatize some of it, or something like that. Turn it into some kind of private research facility or whatever.
I mean, isn't it though? Like,
Sort of.
I mean,
Yeah.
NASA's not government. They just get a lot of government grants, but
Yeah.
all these big companies get like they're all on government socialism for for the corporate world, you know?
Yeah, and there's a lot of hands in the cookie jar essentially when it comes to
Yeah.
that. And yeah, boy, I don't know. I would not. It made me sad to see it go because it is kind of a cool thing, and it's cool to
Mm,
be able to look up there and be like, wow, there's people up there in that station. You can also see the Tiangong station; it's big enough too, so that's kind of cool. There's like two pretty significantly sized space stations floating around up there.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and I don't know. Boy, that's a tough one.
And then
Also,
there's
it's like
just more space junk to worry about and like
no kidding. That actually that should be
s-
what the
like
Space Force.
scheduling like other things that are going to be in the path of that,
Yeah.
like 2 years ahead of schedule, like that could be a disaster too.
And that's where the Space Force comes in. That's what they should be doing. That like monitoring everything, maybe even coming up with a plan to get rid of some of this space junk, like deorbit some of the old defunct satellites and get rid of some of the shit that's flying around somehow. That would be a cool project. That would actually be a very worthy project because it shit. If it I don't know if you know about the potential hazard that could happen, the catastrophe that could happen if there's enough collisions, but basically we could be trapped here. If some stuff happens, like there's no way you could launch anything because you're probably not going to make it. So that's a big deal, and that is something we need to see. This is not just the US or NASA or whatever. This matters to everybody, anybody that wants to do space travel.
Is Elon aware of that? Because he's blowing up a lot of fucking rockets.
Well, fortunately, they're kind of low, so everything falls. Yeah, yeah,
But
exactly.
but I mean also like all the Starlink satellites are kind of like littering
Hmm.
the orbit like really badly
Well,
and
that's true. Now they do have it kind of set up in a string in a way that's pretty easy to avoid. But yeah, that's a good point. But I think it's like, okay, well, Starlink serves a really valuable purpose. And of course, we're kind of going over time here, but Starlink serves a very valuable purpose in that, like, you can get internet anywhere as a result of that, which is huge. That's a big deal. Like, you don't have to rely on DSL out in the middle of nowhere. Now you just get one of these antennas and away you go. That's actually my plan for sailboat life is like Starlink. You can be in the middle of
hmm.
the ocean and have internet, which is sweet. All right, well, we could go on and on about that. I mean, Jesus, that's yeah. All of this stuff could be its own episode for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so hopefully everybody enjoyed that, and we usually do this every week, so there'll be another one next week, probably about the same day, same time. So stick around until that, and watch our other videos and subscribe and do all that cool YouTube stuff. All righty, everybody. See you on the flip side.